Hey guys, you're watching Couch Surfing here with Metal Matt, and you've got a very special guest with us right now, all the way from Hellbourne. We've got the man himself, Dan from Frankenbach. How are you, bro?
Very good, Matt. How are you?
Not too bad. Hey, we finally got this thing going. So a few issues, but yeah, technology is sparse.
We're here now.
That's it, exactly. Dan, we've got the 25th anniversary show coming up, a big show for Frankenbach. It's going to be absolutely massive. How did this idea all come together? Did you guys just get into the room and just go, let's do something big for our anniversary show? What was the whole concept?
Yeah, well, not really. We kind of hadn't really paid it much attention, to be quite honest. We were approached by a guy, the promoter that was actually putting on the show when we were playing in Adelaide, actually at Big Metal Fest over there. It's called, God damn it, the name eludes me right now. That's really embarrassing. We were there in April, and yeah, he sort of hit us up backstage and said that he wanted to do a 25th anniversary show, and we were like, oh shit, man, 25 years, huh? Like, I hadn't really even paid it much attention, to be honest. But so yeah, he sort of sowed the seeds there, and we were like, yeah, cool, that'll be something we could do. And yeah, sort of a month or two went by, and he sort of hit us up again, and we had a bit of a chat, and we were like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to get maybe one or two dudes back. We'll get Hutchie back, and maybe another guy, and we'll get Mick up for a song or two, and this and that. And as we sort of just started putting the word out, dudes started like fuck yeah, man, I'll be up for that. And we sort of let the opened a can of worms, I guess. And so yeah, before we knew it, we sort of had everyone who wanted to be involved. So yeah, and just even in discussing it and how we were gonna make the night work, we were just like, how are we gonna do this? And sort of had a bit of a tentative plan of how we could get people to come in and out of songs and this and that. And I was like, you know what would be really cool? The coolest thing we could do would be to actually get like all 5 different the major lineups of the band to get together as the actual band, the group of guys that were in that lineup, and get them to do a few songs each. That would be fucking cool. How do we go about doing that? Well, that's not so much of an easy thing to do, considering Mick, the drummer, who was the drummer for most of those lineups, hasn't played drums in 4 years. So to get him to come back and play 9-10 songs is a little adventurous, a little bit of a hard ask.
Absolutely.
But so I said, well, look, all you can do is ask, man. He might just say, no, sorry, dudes, I can't really do that, or whatever. But he's just like, oh fuck yeah, man, like that'd be great. And he's totally up for the challenge. And the next one was Timmy, obviously. Timmy, who hasn't been in the band for a few years now, whether or not he'd be up for doing a whole bunch of, old songs from the original lineup and the Blood Oath era lineup, and then the lineup that when I first joined. But he was keen to do that too. So yeah, so everybody agreed to it, and that's what we're planning to do. We get all 5 different major lineups of the band back together for one night. And so far the rehearsals have been awesome. They've been really cool. And we've been having a blast for the last sort of month and a half, 2 months, as we've sort of been putting this whole thing together. And we haven't had everybody come through yet, but everybody that has come through had a really good time. And yeah, it's all coming together.
Good stuff. Look, the songs you probably haven't played in about 20 years, like, so it's a bit of a blast from the past.
Yes and no. Some of them, yes and no. Like, we've actually, we put together a bit of a lineup of songs that would be, touch be some of the songs that were sort of prevalent with that lineup, but also songs that we want to play going forward with the new lineup of the band as well. So we wanted, we didn't want to, you know, we didn't want to waste our time learning all these songs and never play them again. So some of these songs have been playing, especially real early material that we've been sort of playing with the new lineup, which has been heaps of fun. But some of these songs sort of haven't. It's just cool hearing them with the original vocalists and the way that they're supposed to sound. We've sort of had to, you know, remold some of these songs with the different lineups over the years, and to sort of hear some of these songs played again as they should be, especially the early stuff with Hachi. It's great. Like, we had Ricky here, who was a rhythm guitarist in the lineup before I rejoined, and we were both sitting on the couch as they were kicking into Greetings and Salutations. Like, I've heard it a few times now, so I'm a little desensitized, but it was his first time hearing that song again with Hachi, and he's just like, fuck, you know, like, wow, it just brings back so many memories. And as I said, the first time Hachi kicked in when they started jamming again, haven't jammed together in 20 years, you know, it's just, fuck, he said he got goosebumps. It's just like, you know, this is just brings back all of these memories, you know.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, it's been pretty cool, man.
Now, you got a very cool release getting coming out on the 30th of November. It's a whole bunch of stuff that hasn't been. Well, it's basically in between. Is it in between Loopholes and Blood Oath? That sort of era. It's the stuff that wasn't. Yeah. So how did this all come together with putting this whole thing together?
Well, because we were putting on the 25th anniversary show, I sort of asked Azza whether or not he had any old memorabilia or posters or photos or just cool shit that I could use, especially with the older lineups, that I can use to help promote the show on social media and shit. And so he turns up with these 3 big boxes full of old shit, like just heaps of old photos. And then both those lineups predated the digital era, really. So there's not a lot of record of there's none really of any of their performances apart from one show of the original lineup. But there's no photo, there's no nothing. So it's all analog. So he's turned up with all of this shit and a big bag of CDs. And so I'm trawling through all this stuff, you know, just looking for stuff and looking through all the CDs, and I come across this one, and it's got a picture of the band, the original lineup on the front cover, and I turn it over and look, reading all these song titles. And I'm like, I don't know any of these songs. What is this? Like, and then I see the Roadrunner Records logo and recorded by Richie Pogue from Dreadnought at Cutting Edge Studios. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is cool. So proceeded to put it in my CD player on my way to work the next day, and was pleasantly surprised to hear the opening riff of one of the songs off the Blood Oath record. But then the vocals kick in and it's got Hachi singing on it. And I'm like, what? So
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. And then so 3 or 4 songs go by, and they're all kind of different versions of songs that ended up on Blood Oath. There's actually one of the songs, it's the riff from Last Ditch Redemption, which was a song that we did when I first joined the band. And then it gets into some completely new songs that I have never even heard before. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like, and it sounded really good. Like, that was the thing. It wasn't just like a shitty demo that they'd done. This was done in a proper studio. So the sound quality was great. And I'm just like, man, like, this is like, for a fan of the original lineup, like I am, this is like finding a lost album that's no one's ever heard before. And I couldn't believe it. I was blown away by it. So I give it a bit of a touch up. I might remastered it and fattened it up a little bit. And ended up showing it to Azza and to Hachi, and it's just like, dude, check this shit out. Like, they hadn't even heard it or paid any attention. Kind of forgot that it even really existed. You know,
it must have blown them away after hearing it.
It was a complete trip for them, man. Like, they were they just hadn't really paid much attention to that. Hachi, he wasn't really a fan of the recording at all, and there's much more to the story that's kind of a bit sad and all the rest of it. But so having that time away from it, though, he sort of was like, well, fuck, this isn't as bad as I thought it was, And I think it's fantastic. Like as somebody who had nothing to do with any of this, as just a fan, I'm listening to this going, this is fucking unreal. Like this is gold. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I know there's a whole bunch of dudes who would kill to hear this. You know, there's guys who are fans of the band who probably stopped listening to Frankenbach after Hutchie left because he was such a, you know, his vocals in the original lineup were what made Frankenbach sort of, you know, the unique band that they were. So I know
Absolutely.
a lot of blokes sort of fell off the perch and stopped listening to the band after he left. So like I know that there's heaps of dudes are going to want to hear this shit. So I didn't take much convincing, but I was like, dude, you got to let me put this out. I have to do this. This is something I really want to do, and they agreed. It didn't take much. I said, look, just ask the other dudes too. I don't want to just step on any toes. So please, you know, ask Timmy and Mick and Scotty whether or not they're happy for this to come out. And everybody was like, fuck yeah, man, that's cool. So yeah, I got their blessing, and yeah. So on top of that, I also found another disc of live stuff. So this was like this was a live recording of their System of a Down support at the Palace back in 2002.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2002, and yeah, I was just like, wow, cool. I've heard a lot about this show. Apparently, they really kicked ass that night, and to actually have some audio, I'm like, this will be interesting. I'm curious because there's, you know, there's what you get told, and there's the reality of it, right? And so I chuck it in the CD player, and it's like, yeah, no shit, like they're on it. This is killer. Like the mix took one or two songs for it to even itself out, but after that, it just sounded great, and they were on fire. I'm like, fuck. So we've got to put this out too. So in the end, we ended up being able to fit 7 of the studio tracks on a CD plus the 11 live tracks. So they all fit with about 10 seconds to spare on the CD. So that's what we've done. So to put together those 7 studio tracks and 11 live tracks. And yeah, it's coming out on November 30th. It's called The X-Files Volume 1, as in EX. This was Hutchie's idea, and that's like, well,
yeah, of course, yeah.
And it makes perfect sense also to get Hutchie to do the album cover, so he did that as well. And and the actual designs, t-shirt designs that we've done for it for its release, he did those too. So it's been kind of really cool to be able to collaborate with him on something and on this whole project. Freaking awesome, man. So yeah, it's all come together. Just sort of all of a sudden, it just sort of came out of nowhere, really. And
It really has too, especially with the 25th anniversary show. This album is just like one big explosion for the Bach.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, it's been really cool, man. It was sort of like the cool thing being more than anything is that when we started out the year, when we put out a new album with the new lineup and everything, and like in January, at the end of January when it was coming out, we still weren't even certain, weren't even sure we're going to be able to play gigs to back it up.
Yeah.
So by the end of the year, to having played a bunch of shows, everything being back online and gigs happening again, and to have the year end this way is really cool. Yeah, it's just like completely not what we expected at the start of the year. We're like, oh fuck, you know, like how are we going to even promote this new album? You know, like we can't even play gigs for fuck's sake. Like, yeah, it was a pretty depressing situation at the start of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
We're kind of having a huge, big celebration. So, yeah, it's sort of come full circle, really.
Cool. Yeah. Good stuff. So, what's the big plans for Frankenbach in the new year? 2023 is just around the corner. Literally just around the corner. This whole year's just gone by.
It's creeping up fast.
So,
honestly, man, I don't know. We don't really have anything. Again, we're still winging it like we have been all year, and just letting things just sort of happen naturally and not trying to force anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Like now that this has kind of happened, it's sort of really opened up a whole bunch of new and interesting sort of things that may happen. Like I definitely really would love to collaborate with Adam on a song. Like we've all discussed it. Everybody sort of come and thought of that as an idea, and we've all kind of gone, yeah, fuck yeah, that would be that will be cool. So definitely we're itching to write some new material. So yeah, we'll get sort of stuck into that and just trying to keep playing as many shows as we can and just doing what Frankenbach does, man.
That's it. Have you got a favourite show that you played with the Bach, Dan? Is there a show that stands out the most?
Yeah, there's a couple. Definitely the one that we did the one that we actually did a live album for in April this year.
Mhm.
Was it? No, March. I think it was March. But the one we did with King Parrot that we ended up doing a live album for, that was a pretty special show, just because it was our first one back in Melbourne in 2.5 years. It was a really cool homecoming show to do that. It was a sold out gig, and it was just great to see so many faces that we hadn't seen in so long actually come to a show, and that was a pretty special one. But in the past, probably one of my favorite shows has always been the Exodus support that we did in Melbourne at the Corner Hotel. That was a ripper show. Yeah, that was the Rob Dukes lineup of Exodus, who are my favorite. So get to play with those guys, hang out with them. I actually got to drive them to the airport the next day. That was pretty cool. I had Rob Dukes sitting in the chair in the seat next to me, and Gary Holt in the back of my car. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that show was quite a memorable one for sure. But the other ones would be definitely playing at God damn it, the one in the middle of the country. What's it called? Black and the Globe at Alice Springs.
Black and Open, yeah.
That's just that's a trip in itself. Just playing that show was pretty damn special. Probably not the gig so much, just afterwards, like being in the middle of nowhere.
Especially night time around in the middle, middle of nowhere.
Looking up at the Milky Way and seeing the Milky Way like you've never seen it before in your whole entire life. Just I was mesmerized by that. Just the whole atmosphere of that weekend was really cool. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's worth coming to make it one year, man, for sure.
Cool. Dan, thank you so much for this chat. But look, make sure if people are watching this interview, get down to the hotel on the December 10th. If you're definitely a Frankenbach fan, 25 years, you're going to hear a lot of material, some stuff that you probably haven't heard in years. So we're all pretty keen. I'm coming out for it, so I'm pretty keen for it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's going to be a ripper night, man, without a doubt. I'm going to be like a pig in shit when I get to see the original lineup again. I can't wait. Like, first up, I'm going to get to see them jam and rehearse with the full lineup. Original lineup and you trust me, you won't get the smile off my face. And then to be in the crowd watching that shit is going to be such a trip. It's going to be awesome. Yeah,
that's going to be wild. Dan, thanks for this chat, man, and we're keen to see what happens with the Bach in the future.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bro.
See you on the 10th.
You definitely will.